So this evening, to quell the tedium, I thought I'd discuss with you some of my favourite weapons in the inventions of weapons throughout history. There's quite a few weapons to choose from. I have a vast array, or an arsenal if you will, of possible weaponry I can select from my mental files, by which to ruminate on just what a device they might be required for in a battle scenario, which I hope I never have to face in reality. I see no glory in violence, but if I am attacked, I would like to be able to defend myself. You see, these weapons, some of them are most innovative and clever. I was particularly impressed at school when I was taught about the Claymore mine, for instance. There's a body ripper. The Claymore mine is basically a large shotgun shell with grape shot, which is ball bearings basically stuffed together in a condensed metal can, for some description of defining it. And when it's tripped, it blasts ball bearings through the enemy soldier, you see, and they're ripped to bits like that, which is one dreadful way to go. It's much more precise and dark for a mere landmine, I think, which is quite a covert and stealth way to take away out a chap. But I like Diana for doing her anti-landmines thing in the 80s, if you recall. But then looking at other weapons, for instance, in London with the illegal marches of the pro-Palestinian mob, you might be wanting to use a neutron bomb, which is a bomb that goes off but doesn't destroy the buildings, but just wipes out the people. See? Clever. Where you've got problems, there may well be solutions with a little research and a cleverness. Now obviously no one wants to discuss nukes because they wipe so many people out, and they're hideous. And a lightsaber can do so much more good than a nuke in some understandings of weapons and their signification and totemic understanding and meaning in a civilized society. You've got your traditional rifles, which I've always liked. I'm particularly fond of machine guns as well, just for their rapid display of multiple bullets in a localized spray. Very handy if you want to take out a lot of the baddies oncoming in a rapid scenario. Not that I've been anywhere near that in reality, although I have been attacked on a number of occasions by chav gangs on crack with their false allegations and satanic abuse. However, I merely had my karate hands about me by which to defend myself, but I consider these a legitimate weapon in their own right. Purely in self-defense, I have never willingly attacked anyone, I think, in the street. Who does that? Oh, you don't know, you come here. It's just mental. Oh, yeah, they're so ugly and evil. There needs to be weapons all over the place, darling. Weapons in the cupboards, weapons upstairs, weapons down below, weapons so far everywhere you can't move for fucking weapons. No, that would be ridiculous, and I do not recommend that as a strategy. Let's go the other way. Let's go the anti-American way. They've got weapons coming out their Walmarts, right? What if we banned all weapons even more? We were already pretty good at it in England. I once nearly got shot for having a toy pistol. I ask you, right? But what if we even banned them more? Because I'm going to tell you something now. And we have to discuss this. Because Islam is a pertinent issue currently in this grand nation of Britain. And they're seeking to take over, as is their wont as a viral cult of woo. And one laced with much evil, I have to say, historically, that we have to do something. But while I do not like the cult of Islam, I do not hate all Asians at all. Some of the loveliest people I have ever met in my life are Asian people. Some much nicer people than English chavs are Asian people. I count one of my very best friends as a Chinaman in China. At this point in time, he is being Chinese in China. And only a real Chinaman can do that. And he's my buddy. And I don't hate it. He's our man in China, you see. This is how it works. You see, I consider him an ambassadorial figure among my brotherhood. I've got a friend in Seychelles. Well, I call him a friend. He's a burg, really. Very right-wing git. Complete idiot. He always was an idiot. My friend in China is not an idiot. My friend in the Seychelles is an idiot. But you know what do you expect when you go mad on a little island all your days? You're surrounded by either pirates or Muslim extremists or American naval domination, and you're just a little island and he runs a taxi firm. He's bound to be, and he does too much drink and whatnot. I think he's bound to go a little cuckoo. You know, island mentality can be quite isolating, especially on the Seychelles. Have you ever been there? It's a tiny little island in the middle of the vast Indian Ocean. And what are you going to do there? Apart from sit on an idyllic beach. It's alright for the first few days. But you know what us boring humans are like? We can't savour the tedium of the same thing for too long without going spare. Unless we're really entrenched into something we adore. But, no, after a couple of days sitting on idyllic picture-perfect postcards, I was going spare with how much I was being ripped off for the hash on the beaches. I couldn't believe the extortionate prices, and I had to go on a mission, and that did make it more exciting. And I met some lovely Rastafarians who I say were angelic. There were 3 of them in a supermarket, and they helped me in my request most integrally, with great honesty and virtue in their beautiful, profound eyes of adore. Not sick adore, not weird perversion, nothing unholy. They were great people, and they really helped me, and they are the 3 holy Rastafarians that I've met. And I've met more, and there are some bloody nice ones out there. And they're not wicked people. I don't think they're evil. They've never done me wrong. And in fact, their notion of God, Jah, is perfectly biblically legitimate. And one that I subscribe to. Jah is one of the names for the Father of God, if you ask me. And my biblical understanding is better than most, because I've studied it in depth for a long time. And even then, that's because I came from an actual epiphany, and that's knowing God. The Bible study is almost immaterial to knowing God in modernity. That's like what happened then. I'm dealing with what's happening now, and it's not the same biscuit. It's not the same deal. We've come a long way since ancient Judea, 33 AD. Oh, mate. And haven't we? Haven't we done well on the whole, generally? If you're going to look at it positively, apart from the weapons. By the way, the sai is is like a weird sword. The one the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles uses, but I don't have them either. I do have a bow, like another one of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles uses. But really, that's just a mop handle painted gold. But it works as a self-defense martial arts weapon. Not that I'm trained in martial arts, I just know how to defend myself from going to a public school where being beaten severely daily was part of the course. That's what you get when you pay lots of money to have your child put through a highly elite Catholic regime run by a thuggery of juvenile prefects and their cohorts of bullying frenzy. But never mind, it was a shaping in my existence, and I learnt many things about God and the Bible subsequently, and life, and peace, which is really good, and equanimity, which is peace defined actually. It's not just peace, it's mind peace, and that's what we want. You know, peace is peace. Peace is actually daily and eternal if you look at it objectively from the universal point of view. But when we talk about peace, we're talking about equanimity. That's what we want, balance of mind, peace of mind, right? That's what equanimity means. And it's a beautiful word. And I can safely say that having a mindset that requires weapons, for me, doesn't really bring equanimity, especially if you're using them, if you're in a hostile kinetic experience. That's not equanimity, that's loss of control into dramatic, chaotic horror. And that is why I do not take up boxing or martial arts professionally or something like that, right? Because where your attention goes, energy flows and money grows. And I don't want to be successful as a pugilist or a fighter or a harmer of other people in the pursuit of my own idealism, because I can't stand violence. It makes me cry as a grown man, even after an argument, a hostile argument with an idiot. I can be emotionally upset, so let alone fisticuffs, which is just diabolical. And I really respect that about Jesus, because he did say love thy enemy and turn the other cheek. He was not a violent man. He didn't behead anybody, right? Beheading in the Bible, in the Christian Bible, is totally associated with the rise of Satanism in the future. Now, I don't hate all Muslims, but if Muslims are going to stay in the UK, they're going to have to reject that aspect from their entire book, otherwise there's going to be trouble at mill. And this is the way it is. This is the flux and flow of tribal systems throughout the ages. This isn't particularly new. It's just shifted more onto our turf. They've been a pain in the arse since the invention of Muhammad. But let's not say that too overtly, otherwise they might attempt to do me for some kind of faux blasphemy law that doesn't exist. In the actuality, when you know Jesus Christ and wolves in sheep's clothing, as were warned by him and false prophets. And hasn't that caused a lot of intertribal fuckery? Well, I was doing quite well until the use of the F-bomb there, but now it'll have to be at least a 12A or a 15 viewing certificate and not suitable for children due to that one deployment of a vulgarity, in which I humbly apologise for my lack of imagination and utilisation of the English language in a more cultivated form. I thank you for listening to my diatribe on weapons, and I hope we realise that we don't actually need weapons to gel along as a humanity unless we're faced with a dark, oppressive, evil, mad, culling foe, and then we're going to probably need a lot of them.